What I can tell you about my mediumship reading with Angeline was that it was everything that I wanted it to be for myself and more. I had three spirits that I wanted to see, and the night before, she asked me to write down any questions that I had. But in addition to that, I asked for these three spirits to come forth, and they did. I will tell you that Angeline is the real deal. The very first spirit to present themselves was my father, and she described his spirit, his personality to a T. He's very, very manly, very fatherly. Let's say not manly, but fatherly. He had a very fatherly demeanor, and that's just not to his children, but also to any of our friends. And so he presented that way. He came through, and that's how she described him. And there were so many other things about his particular personality that came forth that not many other people would really know about him, but she was able to put her finger on it and describe him to a T. I was so full from the reading, just simply because, like I said, I know that everyone that I wanted to present themselves, or every spirit that I wanted to come through came through. She spent a lot of time really conveying to me. I guess my dad had a lot to say, and he would have in real life, which is another reason why I know that it was him. There were so many indications, so many descriptions of things that, number one, I'm not a social media poster, so she would not have been able to investigate any of this information that came through. But she described a time frame from my childhood so perfectly. I just was astonished. I have three other siblings, which he commented on, and he described their placements in order, in a very exact way. It was my dad. I felt like I was visiting with my dad. And in the same way, I felt like I was visiting with my mother. My mom came through, and she got her personality and her energy and the way that she would have been to me here when she was with me. I mean, it was astonishing. My mother had a message for me and my daughter, and my daughter's name begins with an N and an I, and that's what was conveyed to, or that's how Angeline was able to sort of convince me of who it was that she was speaking about, because she would not have necessarily been able to easily pronounce my daughter's name, because it's not a normal name. But she tried to present it in a way that she imagined it was, but it wasn't the exact thing. But it was the initials of my daughter, and so it wasn't an easy name to know. But so I went ahead and let her know that she was spot on, and just told her what my daughter's name was. But one thing about that is that Angeline does not want you to help her. So she stopped me multiple times. I was so excited that I wanted to expound upon how it was that she was kind of hitting the nail on the head every time. But she cautions you not to aid her, because she really wants to be able to bring forth that message accurately. So a lot of times she will have stopped me dead in my tracks and asked me not to help her. But in my excitement, I just thought I'd confirm some details. But at any rate, she was with everyone every spirit she brought forth was extremely accurate about who they were. She described them to a T as I would have known them to present themselves. And she knew exactly how many spirits I expected or I wanted, because, she knew that I wanted to meet with at least 3 spirits. And they all presented themselves, and they all came through for me. And the last one was super important for me, and she nailed the reasoning on the head as to why. It was an unfortunate and tragic loss, and she was able to detect that. All of the losses were tragic, but this one was especially tragic, and she was able to speak to me in an adequate amount of detail about who it was, and who it was that was coming through, and what he may have, what words that he may have wanted to convey to me. He did. I asked that he present himself, and he, I was thinking about something as I was writing his name down, and she talked about that as she was talking about him, and it was just astonishing. I was really impressed. And if you decide to get a reading with Angeline, it will be like visiting with your loved ones. That was my experience, and I hope that you decide to visit with your ancestors as well. Thank you.